In this movie, there was a little girl whose mother left her when she was very young. Many people tried to keep her away from her true path, but in the end, she got what she was meant to have. Let's dive into the story. The movie starts at a circus where a talented woman named 𝐆-𝐚𝐢𝐥 performs amazing tricks on horseback. Everyone admires her skills. 𝐆-𝐚𝐢𝐥's husband, Jim, and their sweet daughter, Lucky, cheer her on. One day, during a performance, 𝐆-𝐚𝐢𝐥 has a terrible accident and sadly passes away. Jim is left to raise Lucky all by himself, and he often thinks about his late wife. As the years go by, we find Lucky living with her grandfather and aunt. Her aunt cares for her a lot, but Lucky sometimes feels down. One day, Lucky's grandfather has a meeting with some important people, but he gets embarrassed when he sees Lucky acting silly in front of them. Frustrated, he tells her aunt that Lucky should go live with her father so she can learn and experience new things. So, Lucky's aunt takes her to see Jim, and they travel by train together. Lucky is thrilled about the journey. While her aunt steps away to grab some snacks, Lucky spots some horses outside the train window. She lights up with excitement, showing that she has a special connection to horse riding, just like her mother did. The train was speeding along, but Lucky was determined to see and touch the horses. She hurried to the last compartment of the train, ready to reach out to them. Just as she was about to touch one, she started to fall. Luckily, a man caught her just in time and told her that something bad could have happened. Eventually, Lucky and her aunt arrived at the station, but her dad wasn't there to pick them up. While waiting, Lucky overheard some men talking. One of them, who had saved her, mentioned that they were short on money but had a plan to catch and sell wild horses to make some cash. After getting off the train, Lucky saw the spot where her mom used to ride horses. She started chatting with everyone about her mom and met an old friend of her mother's who gave her a scarf that belonged to her mom. Lucky also noticed a boy her age who was riding a horse too, but her aunt takes her away. When they get home, Lucky should have talked to her dad, but she finds it hard to connect with him. She grew up mostly with her aunt and didn't spend much time with her father, which is why they aren't close. Then, Lucky's dad shows her her room, and she starts looking around. She spots a hole in the wall that lets her see into her mother's room across the way, filled with her mom's dresses, photos, and other things. Lucky feels happy as she checks them out. Later, when Lucky goes outside, she sees the man who saved her earlier. He's holding the same horse that had excited her before, but the horse is acting wild and won't let anyone near. Just then, the owner shows up and tells the man to stop teasing the horse and to let it go. They tie the horse up and Lucky watches everything. She decides to free the horses so they can roam around. As night falls, dinner is ready, and Lucky sits at the table with her aunt and dad. She excitedly tells her father about a horse she befriended and named Spirit. However, Jim, her dad, is upset because he knows how his wife died in a horse riding accident. He tells Lucky to stay away from horses because he wants to protect her. This makes Lucky angry, and she storms off to her room. The next morning, Lucky goes to see Spirit again. While she's there, she makes 2 new friends. They teach her how to befriend with Spirit. Every day, Lucky tries to get closer to him by talking and sitting near him for hours. She really wishes she could touch him just once. One day, Spirit finally eats an apple from her hand, which means he's starting to trust her. Lucky feels super happy about this. Until now, she hasn't spoken to Jim, but today she decides to talk to her dad. Excited, she puts on her mom's dress because she thinks she'll ride Spirit for the first time. When she gets on Spirit, she plans to only ride within the fence. But then a kid accidentally opens the gate. As soon as Spirit sees the open door, he bolts out toward the mountains. Lucky's new friends quickly hop on their horses to chase after her. Jim finds out what's happening and gets really worried, setting off to find Lucky. Meanwhile, Spirit is running fast, and Lucky starts to feel scared. Her friends tell her to jump off, and they'll catch her. So, Lucky jumps from the galloping horse, and her friends grab her just in time. If they had been even a second late, she could have fallen hard. Meanwhile, Spirit ran off. Lucky's dad showed up, and even though he loved her dearly, he was really mad when they got home. He scolded her, saying, "I told you not to do this. Why don't you listen to me?" Instead of admitting she was wrong, Lucky argued back. Her dad shouted, "Enough, Lucky. You need to go back. If you stay here, the horses will be a bad influence on you. And if you want to stay here, keep your distance from them." Lucky didn't reply and walked away, but she still hoped to be friends with Spirit. So, she ventured into the forest to find him. That night, she discovered Spirit and his whole family. They had a great time together. But then, the man who had saved her from the train showed up. He planned to capture and sell the wild horses for money. He and his crew started rounding up the horses to take them to another city. Spirit wanted to save his family, so he rushed to Lucky for help. She hopped on Spirit and rode into town. First, she went to her friends, but they said, "No, we can't leave this place. We're just kids. How can we chase that fast train? And what if we can't stop it to save the horses?" Feeling discouraged, Lucky decided to go alone, saying, "This dangerous path won't stop me. I will save Spirit's whole family." But as she moved forward, she noticed her two friends were following her after all, which made her feel much better. Together, they rode their horses ahead and soon came across an old bridge. Unfortunately, the bridge was broken and collapsed when the horses stepped on it. They couldn't continue on this shortcut anymore because it was too risky. They had to jump over the gap. Lucky's friends managed to jump, but Lucky wasn't very skilled at it, so she and Spirit fell down. Luckily, they were unharmed. One of her friends called down to her, "Don't lose hope. You can climb back up. Just trust each other." Lucky helped Spirit get back up and started to climb on her horse again. The three of them galloped forward, but soon they found themselves on a narrow path with a steep drop on one side. If they slipped, it could be dangerous. They all managed to cross safely and felt excited about their adventure. They decided to camp for the night, knowing they had made good time by taking the shortcut. They enjoyed their food and had fun, while their horses became friends too. Meanwhile, Lucky's father was feeling regretful, wishing he hadn't scolded her the night before. He was worried about where she had gone. The neighbor, whose daughter was with Lucky, joined him, and they decided to search for their daughters together. They hopped on a train to look for them. Back with Lucky and her friends, they were waiting for the train. When the train finally arrived, everyone rushed towards it with excitement. They start fighting with the man in charge, kicking him in the legs and face. They manage to stop the train and confront his men. Then, they open the train doors to free the horses. But hold on, it was just a dream that Lucky had. When she wakes up, she sees the train has actually arrived, but she missed her chance because she was asleep. Spirit, her horse, is already there, ready to help its fellow horses. Lucky quickly wakes up her friends and heads to the train, but the man grabs Spirit and takes it away. Lucky stays hopeful, and her friend encourages her too. They finally reach the spot where the train has stopped. They see the horses being loaded onto a ship to be sold. Lucky cleverly finds a way to free Spirit again, but the other horses have already been taken. Meanwhile, Lucky's dad, her aunt, and her friend's dad arrive at the scene. Lucky and Spirit are determined to save Spirit's family. They jump onto the ship, and Lucky's dad almost faints from worry. But Lucky succeeds in making Spirit jump high. Spirit starts fighting the men while Lucky works to free the other horses. She manages to get them all out. Spirit also fights off the men. After all this, Spirit swiftly leaps into the water, signaling to his community through communication signs that they too must follow him. Lucky also is in the water, and her father jumps in to rescue her. As Lucky aids the other horses, Spirit prepares to save both Lucky and her father. They all emerge from the water together. Lucky's father expresses his regret, saying, "I apologize, my dear daughter, for doubting you. I should have had faith in your abilities. I am proud of you. Your mother would have been proud as well if she were here today. She would admire your courage." He encourages her to pursue her desires, affirming that she is not inferior to anyone else. Ultimately, Lucky and her friends prepare to return Spirit to his race, intending to go back to their original home. However, neither Lucky nor Spirit wishes to part ways, having formed a deep bond in such a short time. Lucky's father reassures her, stating, "You may stay with me forever if that is your wish." Dressed in her mother's attire, Lucky appears enchanting. They then sing and dance together, with her father performing her mother's favorite song, bringing comfort to Lucky and filling her with joy as she enjoys her time with him. She embodies all the qualities of her mother, leading to a heartwarming conclusion of the film. If you appreciated the movie, please subscribe and activate the notification bell for further updates. Thank you for watching.